Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and I know it's another one of these visual layer performance videos, but I really have been trying to mix in other content while I've been doing this. There's just so much to explore in terms of this visual layer performance. I find it fascinating. Hopefully some of you out there do as well. So today's the line chart, right? So this is the line chart off of the Interactive Explorer tab. It's this one down here. I did population because some of the other ones I wanted to test out like forecasting and things like that, and that the impact of that on this. So I went through a ton of scenarios with this where I stripped this all the way down to just the base bare components. Now originally this was a card visual or a text box visual, and then this was the visual. So there's one. So when I have the original, it's using a text box here instead of the title of the line chart. Okay, but it's the only one. Everything else I combined it into just one visual and using the title. So anyway, and I went through all kinds of tried to adding in all the analytics, the forecasting, all of the getting rid of the data labels, putting in, I mean, all these different options you have for the line chart. There we go. I mean, I went through that on series labels and markers and shade area and zoom sliders and all of this stuff, right? Just endless amounts of the ways that you can combine this. So, all right, with that out of the way, and again, we start recording, we refresh the page 10 times, we record it or export it, we switch to the next thing that we want to do, rinse and repeat over and over again. It all goes into a folder, and then we put it into a performance analyzer report, which looks like this guy. So I know some of you that probably been following along with this series, like, why do you explain this every time? So, but because there are people that might pop up in the middle of this series, and this might be their first video they're looking at. So once we import all the stuff, we're looking for the max visual container because that defines when the page fully loads, because they all load in a series. And then we're looking for the average of those maximums for those page loads. So we want all of these original title, no text box. You take the average of these load times, that ends up in this average of max. And this is how we rank the speed of the different configurations of the line chart. So as you can see here, the original is actually pretty high up on the list. It's almost 60 milliseconds here. Um, and then the line and title only, right? So this is literally everything has been stripped away. The XY, I mean, it's just a line, right? There's nothing, there's no data points or anything around that line. It's just a line. So pretty useless, but it does render faster, which we would like to think that that would be the case, 45 milliseconds. Then if we add in the X and Y axis, so we basically, it's this visual, we add the X and Y axis in, it's about the same, it's a little slower, right? So, but here's where it gets interesting in terms of like, so line and title, add XY, data labels are added, and then all analytics. So all those analytics things like min and max and percentage and all those constant X, constant Y, all that stuff. I added all that in except for no, there were no error bars or no forecast. And it's the third fastest on the list. So it's really interesting that, and it basically, it doesn't really matter how many of those analytics that you add to that thing. The render times are just about identical, right? So it's interesting. That was an interesting find to me. It's like I could add, you know, three of those analytics, or I could add, nine of those analytics, what it is, and it was the same render speed. So I wasn't expecting that. I thought the analytics would slow it down, but it does not. So this is the original title, no text box. Okay, so it's the exact original. It just took away the text box and replaced it with the title. Otherwise, it's exactly the same as the original, essentially. So I've got a bunch of those kind of configurations where I start, basically original no text box, no trend, shade area, right? So I'm using the shade area there. I'm using markers here. I'm in, again, all analytics with the forecast and no error bars. So that was 50 milliseconds. So maybe the forecast does add a little bit, but it's still really close. So I don't know if I'd go down that line. No trend, no grid, no background, right? No text box, no trend series label. I was using the series label there. Really, all I could really say about this one actually has all the analytics with the forecast and the error bars, right? It's still faster than our original. But I think the zoom sliders, you could make an argument, slow it down, and a secondary axis seems to be the highest impact in slowing it down. Even though in my case, I had the population as the y-axis and the population as the secondary x-axis, so it was really the same axis, but that seemed to really slow it down the most. So so there you have it. I mean, there is there's about a 20 some percent difference between the slowest and the fastest. So this conveying zero information and this basically getting as basic as you can get, right? So you can make an argument that if you just go with very, very basic, title, X and Y axis, and that's about as fast as you're going to get that line chart to render on average without, and everything else that you're going to add to it's going to slow it down. So could maybe look at that. But yeah, the analytics stuff not adding to the time very much. I was surprised with that. So there you have it. That's all I had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.